Hi everyone, audiobook narrator Isaiah Lawson here, and today I'm bringing you my newest series, Twist of Fate. This is Book 2, titled Alien Abduction. In the years following 2040, life for human beings was changed drastically as compared to previous decades. If you walked outside on a typical day, you would notice less people about, as many stayed home and used delivery services for everything that they need. In addition, there were drones flying about and scanning the environment, and the people, like detectives, collecting extreme amounts of data. Artificial intelligence was used in just about all of the Fortune 500 companies, and people that were not keeping up with the technological advancement were being left far behind. In the 2030s, many protested as they marched up and down the streets, to include New York City, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C., screaming chants asking for help and change, but their cries fell on the deaf ears of greedy emerging businessmen and women. The unemployment rate rose to 23.4% in the United States, largely due to greed and companies streamlining their bottom lines literally into well-oiled machines. Some Americans were so far below the poverty line that they were forced to move to other countries. Canada and Europe became the typical second start at life for many Americans. The job market was drying up, and it was nearly impossible to find even a restaurant where an actual person poured you a drink. Some human beings were having on average 10 conversations per day with AI of some kind, as every critical detail in their lives had some form of technology attached to it. Machines picked crops in 1/4 of the time it took people to do so, and without error. As a result, those living in the Bible Belt, the area that stretched from Texas all the way to the southern portion of Georgia, who made their livings off the land, quickly had gone bankrupt. One such family that was affected lived in Savannah, the oldest city in the state of Georgia, which rests on the eastern coast of the state. Their home was ecru and made of stucco, with wood trim around the windows. It sat on a hilltop at the end of a winding 4-mile road. For the first 3 miles from the main interstate, the road was paved, but turned into a dirt path for the final mile leading to the base of the hill. The home was average sized, 1,930 square feet, with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Behind the home was a ridge of unkept dying grass, steep overgrown dollarweed, and sedge that had taken over the lawn, which led to a very large lake behind the home. Once upon a time, this lake was used for some of the finest fishing in Savannah, but at this time, the only indication that fishing took place was the old rusty boat docked next to the water, buried halfway up the base in mud. This was the home of the Stewarts, a dysfunctional family to say the least, but no more out of the ordinary than any typical family in the area due to their current financial troubles. There was John K. Stewart, the man of the house. He came from a long line of fishermen who at one time benefited heavily from all of the coastal fishing in Georgia. In his younger years, a typical day would include going out onto the lake and coming back with too many fish to count, from salmon to bass, catfish to trout. He was 51, and in the previous 15 years of his life, he watched the fishing industry shift from thriving and human-operated to being 100% machine-operated. He claimed that his loss of hair in years past was due to all the stress of the loss of work, and he watched his bank savings dwindle to barely positive as well. He was an angry, disgruntled man who stood 5'10" with broad shoulders and a thick graying beard that hid his features. He was generally in a bad mood, usually yelling at someone, or finding something trivial to complain about. Whether it was the president or the weather or life itself, he always managed to see the negative side of things. Then there was his wife of 25 years, Meg, short for Megan Stewart. Just having turned 44, she was an average-looking woman, 5'6", slim with light freckles and thick glasses that gave her a librarian look. She worked about 4 miles from the Stewart's residence as a store manager of a grocery store called Krager's. In 2038, she had to increase her hours from 35 hours per week to 55 hours per week to help make ends meet, due to her husband's salary dwindling from the very lucrative to almost nothing. She always believed that marriage indeed was for better or for worse, and no matter what, a husband and wife should stick together and stick it out. She was a strong Catholic woman, very stressed, but tried to survive the best way she could. In the years leading up to 2040, she became addicted to stress pills and often seemed shaken or irritable, yet she managed still to drive on. She still made time every morning before leaving for work to cook breakfast, usually consisting of 2 eggs, bacon, and either waffles or pancakes with some type of juice. John loved her, but would generally complain due to his life situation and the fact that now he was not the rock of the family. "The bacon is a little stringy, and where's that daughter of ours? She's so useless. 8 a.m. and she's still sleeping." He was talking about their daughter, Amelia Ann Stewart. She was almost 21 and usually stayed asleep until 9 or 10 a.m. on most days. She had gone to college the years following her 18th birthday, majoring in astronomy, but decided that it wasn't for her, and ended up moving back in with her family in 2038. Initially, she let her family down, and they were upset, but eventually accepted it and actually appreciated the fact that she was back at home with them. This was true, even though sometimes her father would not show it, as he often gave her a hard time. Now, she spent her days either sitting behind the house, watching the world pass her by, and enjoying a nice breeze outside, or she was on the internet. She had a group that she founded, an online community of 19 friends called the Free Spirits of the World. The intent was to talk about what was going wrong in the world and how they could bring positive change to humanity, one person at a time. As I stated, there were only 19 members after about 6 months of operation, but Amelia knew it would grow in time as awareness was built about their cause. In fact, just the previous week, she stood in front of Krager's for 4 hours and talked to passers-by about the cause and gained 2 members just from that. She was very proud of herself. She was short, a mere 5'2" in stature, and had freckles all over her face and arms. She loved the freckles as they gave her a distinct look, and she actually got many compliments on them. She was slim and had an athletic build due to her 3-hour-a-day, very part-time job at Wade's Gym about 6 miles up the road. Ron Wade owned the gym. He was a family friend of the Stewarts and helped Amelia out when she said she needed extra cash. She was able to make $500 per week working at the gym, which gave her some nice pocket money to take care of things she needed. Keep in mind that by 2040, inflation had set the new minimum wage to $27.35 an hour, so it would have been comparable to making about $240 a week, say in 2017. But she had no bills besides her cell phone, and Jim and Meg couldn't dream of charging their little girl rent. One day, she hoped to be able to buy a car or pay to promote her website to get more members. She was also fascinated by extraterrestrial conversations, alien life forms, and talk of whether they existed or not. She would spend countless hours online watching videos about possible encounters and alien contact, some which turned out to be hoaxes done with camera tricks, some too blurry to really make out, and some indefinite for other reasons. One word to describe Amelia was a dreamer. She wanted to make the world a better place and would help others before helping herself. This carefree and selfless attitude was what, in hindsight, held her back from a lot of her accomplishments. In college, for example, on the nights prior to the calculus final, she was asked to pet sit for a friend who had a sick dog when they were out of town. She of course agreed, and as a result, she ended up pleasing her friend and Otis, the Yorkie that got pampered for the week, and failing the exam. This, in a nutshell, was the kind of person Amelia was. And because of failing out of school and her father always calling her useless, it really did a number on her self-esteem. She actually began to believe that she had little or no self-worth and no purpose other than to be mediocre. One particular morning around 9:22, she was awakened to the yelling of her father downstairs at the breakfast table. Amelia, get your useless butt up and get down here. This breakfast is getting cold, girl. She woke up, slid her cold feet into her favorite bunny slippers and threw on her favorite t-shirt and shorts, and came stumbling downstairs like a zombie out of an 80s movie, appearing to be still half asleep. Hi, Mom and Dad, let me guess. Bacon and eggs again, she said sarcastically. She leaned over and kissed her dad on the cheek. Ew, grizzly beard, Dad. Not a good look. I have to eat quickly. I'm having a meeting online with my team for an important discussion about alien existence. Her dad gave her a stern look as his upcoming speech was interrupted when her mother began talking. I don't want you spending all your days looking at that crazy stuff, her mother exclaimed. Why don't you go to the mall and do normal things like girls your age do? Normal is overrated, Mom, Amelia said, as she took another bite of bacon and a sip of orange juice and headed back upstairs without eating her whole meal. That's why you're skin and bones now. You need to eat more, useless girl, her dad said as she smiled at him and retreated to barricade herself in her room as she did many times before. When she got upstairs, she sat in her tiny cherry wood desk, which is where she spent most of her time. She sat in her leather seat, mesh back swivel chair that was very comfortable, or super comfy, as Amelia would say, that she bought that previous year with her wages. On top of the desk was a picture of her and her parents on a camping trip they took a few years before. They looked so content in the photo, stress-free, calm, and full of life. Oh, how the photos that we take can veil the truth of our reality with facades in the form of smiles and poses. Next to the photo was a 12-ounce bottle of water, not yet opened. A week before, Amelia told herself that she was going to stop drinking so many energy drinks and drink more water. That plan did not seem to be going very well. To the right of the bottle was a 6-year-old computer with a 15-inch monitor. This was Amelia's best friend, and there was no one that spent more time with her than this computer. She would either be watching videos of alien life forms, checking out science fiction shows that she could watch with her prepaid online account on various websites, or logging into her favorite website, her own. She sat down and logged into her online community, the Free Spirits of the World. Woohoo, up to 20 members. Let's see who the new guy is. It was a man who listed his age at 25 and had Odie Turner as his profile name and never bothered uploading a profile picture. He did, however, send her a long message. Amelia Stewart, my new group has been observing yours for a while. We see that your group is composed of very positive individuals, and we would like to extend an offer to you over the next 2 years. Once you reach 2,000 members, you will be eligible for our offer. You will reach that number in August of 2042, and at that time, we will be in touch. I will find you, do not worry. Thank you, and have a nice day. The message that was sent to her excited her and creeped her out a bit at the same time. Firstly, she was happy that she gained a new follower and that he gave the impression that he had others that could potentially join her group. But she was a little put off on exactly what he meant about her group being watched from afar, and also why he would try to predict the progress of her group in terms of member growth. Nevertheless, she was happy and started a new forum blog called How We Can Coexist with Aliens If They Exist. Her blog posts ranged from ways that human beings can work peacefully with other beings from other planets, which was just a theory, being that no one had concrete proof that aliens even existed, all the way to how we can help our fellow man. She dreamed one day when her members were in the thousands of how she would set up soup kitchens for the homeless and also meet and mentor people who were down on their luck. Over the following weeks, she never heard from Odie again, but he did put a like mark on a few of her posts, so she knew he was reading them. She also didn't mind because her membership was soaring and she could not figure out why. She was at 292 members by the end of 2040 and gained at a very quick rate, some months adding over 100 new members. The site was busy with gossip and the free spirits of the world were off and running. She had nothing but positive feedback and participation all the way until spring 2041 when they had reached 500 members. She never had to delete or block any members either, until the fateful day in April. She sat down to her computer as she usually did around 10 o'clock a.m. after having a quick breakfast and wishing her mom well as she went off to work. Her father was in bed that morning because he was not feeling well, a cold that had been lingering on for weeks. She checked in on him, brought him a plate of food, and then retreated to her bedroom where she got in front of her computer again. Oh, a new message from a new member. That's what's up. Whoa, 501 members? I can't believe for once in my life I'm doing something right. She moved the mouse over to her inbox and clicked the message. It was from a Randy Bittner, and the title said, WTF is this crap? She clicked on the link. Look, Amelia, or whatever the heck your name is, I don't know what you're trying to pull, but your site is garbage. You are useless and there is no such thing as aliens. I know you are probably going to block me, but let me save you the trouble because I quit. But he was still a member of the site when she checked. It almost seemed as though he joined just to give Amelia a hard time and to put her down. Also, the message from Randy hit pretty hard because it used her trigger word, useless. This brought back memories of all the times when her father called her that word, and her 8th grade teacher called her it as well when she couldn't get a math problem correct after 8 attempts. That word hurt her, and she felt it down to her soul. Her eyes started to water uncontrollably, and she began to cry. It's funny how you can get 8,000 compliments, but the one comment that you remember is the negative one. But Amelia was the type of person who avoided conflict and tried to take the high road, including in this case. She simply sent a response saying, "Thank you for your comment," and left him in the listing of members. In the following months, Amelia was overly stressed, busy corralling her 900 members together and keeping them focused on being positive and taking care of each other. Also, her father was dying, though he did not let the family know. His pneumonia had taken a turn for the worst, weakening his heart and immune system, and he was now a frail 145 pounds, down from his natural body weight of 195. One afternoon in October of 2041, he called her to his room. "Come here, useless girl," he beckoned. They ended up spending 4 hours talking about old times and life in general. They talked of a time when he took her out on his boat and even let her wear his fishing hat. He caught the biggest wide-mouthed bass that she had ever seen that day. Childhood memories like those are why their family was so close-knit, even though it was a little dysfunctional. She told him that she was proud of him, and he told her that even though she was useless, he loved having her as his daughter. She never really got to see that side of him. It was almost as though he was trying to get all the words out that he needed to tell her. In the back of her mind, she knew he might be dying, even though he never said those exact words, nor did he tell her or her mother what the doctor had said on the last medical visit. Amelia didn't make it into work that afternoon and didn't mind, as this was far more important. Amelia and Meg made John as comfortable as they could over the next few months, and he was happy. He took his last breath on December 14th, 2041, and they buried him in the most prominent cemetery in Savannah under a headstone that said, "Here lies the greatest dad and fisherman that ever walked, including the AI." Over the next months, it was difficult for the two young ladies to adjust to not having a man in the house, but they managed. Meg increased her hours at work and her medication to cope, while Amelia stayed in her own internet reality, spending hours on end on the computer. This internet addiction allowed her to grow her members on the website to 1,500 by June of 2042. Because she had so many members now and so many hits on her webpage, she was able to sell ad space on her website and made quite a bit of money from doing it. She decided that 2 weeks later, on the date June 15th, she would quit her job because she was able to make over $350 a month. This would allow her to spend more time online and increase promotion and posts to her website. She never dreamed that the site would be so popular and was thrilled with the results. On June 15th, Amelia woke up earlier than normal. She was going to resign from her part-time job today and was excited about all of the extra free time she would now have to focus on building her website. "You're more chipper than normal," her mother said as they sat down together for breakfast. "Yes, sirree. Since I'm making this money with the web ads now, I'm able to quit my job and build up my site more. Once I'm a millionaire, I'll buy you a new house, Mom." They both laughed and continued to eat their breakfast and have some great mother-daughter bonding time. That afternoon, Amelia jumped on her mountain bike that she bought herself at the beginning of the year and pedaled towards the gym. The trip was relaxing, partly because she knew she was free from having to work for someone else and free to start a new chapter in her life. Also, the weather was a cool 70 degrees and overcast, as if it would be raining in a few hours. She arrived at the gym an hour before her shift was supposed to start. She walked into the cold gym and a chill went down her spine. Instead of going straight in where all the workout equipment is, she made a left down a white wall corridor that led to some offices at the end. The gym's owner, Ron Wade, had an office that was at the end of the hallway on the left, and its door was wide open. Amelia took a deep breath. "Here goes nothing," she said as she walked in to find Ron seated behind his desk, reading over some workout improvement magazines. "Damn, my ad was supposed to appear in this month's edition, and it's not here," he said with a scowl on his face as he looked up at Amelia. "Oh, hello, Amelia. I still feel so bad about your father. He and I used to go way back, you know. How can I help you?" "Well," she said in a drawn-out tone, "unfortunately, I'm gonna have to quit. I have other options. Other things came up." She hadn't thought this through very well prior to coming into the office and didn't know how to quit, as she had never done it before. "Is it the money?" he said. "Any daughter of John's I really want to take care of," he said. "How about we give you a 5% increase?" She thought about it for a second. Just a few short years ago, she was hurting for extra cash, and now she had an online income, and her boss was trying to give her a raise. Too bad she couldn't accept it. "No, sir, it's not that. It's just I need time for me to pursue other things." He rebutted her a few times more and finally conceded as she left his office and walked towards the front door to the exit. Mr. Johnson, one of the regular gym members, noticed her and walked up to her with a female trailing behind as she was about to leave. "Amelia, my wife is wanting to sign up for a gym membership," he said. "Can you help me out? Same deal as before you gave me. I know it was a temporary deal, but can we have that once more?" She explained to him she was no longer an employee of Wade's gym, apologized, and walked out. When she stepped outside, she realized that it was starting to rain, which was going to be an issue because she did not want to get soaked. A tall, slender white man approached her from the left. "Amelia, how are you?" She cringed, thinking that this man either wanted to ask her out or wanted a deal or something from the gym. He was a lanky 6'5" man, only seeming to weigh about 155 pounds, very slim for his height. He had sunglasses on, even though the sun was hidden by clouds, and he had a shaved head. He appeared to be about 30 years old. She stood silent as he spoke again. "Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Odie. I joined your online group some time ago." Her demeanor instantly changed, as did her facial expression, from an annoyed look to a bright smile. "Odie, nice to meet you, guy. I have so many questions for you." "Sure, we can talk on the way to your home. Just throw your bike in the back of my truck and we'll be off." Odie had a strange foreign demeanor about him, and he spoke strangely as well. Also, Amelia wondered how he knew that she was heading home. Odie had an old, rusty, full-size pickup that was black, but most of the paint was wearing off, so it appeared to be a rust gray. She allowed him to pick up her bike and carry it to his vehicle and put it in the bed area of the truck as she jumped into the passenger seat and headed to her home. Odie explained to her that she was not going to believe what he was going to tell her, but that if she trusted him, he could prove it. He told her that he was not from this world, but from another world very similar to Earth, called Valair, in another galaxy. He explained that he used a black hole to jump to her galaxy, and he and his scientists back home had been studying the Earthlings. She didn't believe him because he almost looked human. Well, he looked like a human that had been stretched in length slightly, as he was about a foot too tall for his body according to human standards. Also in the vehicle, she got a great look at his hands, and the fingers on each were a lot longer than for normal human beings. She began to think about his prediction about the 2,000 members by August, which could not possibly be true because the last time she checked she had less than 1,600, and August was only a few months away. "Okay, dude, I'm definitely gonna need some proof of what you're saying," she told him. "You might just be a nut job, which in that case, I probably should bail out of this truck." "Proof is at your home," he said. "In your backyard, on the water. You will see." As they drove down the dirt road leading up to her house, she saw nothing of proof. As they pulled up to the property, Odie jumped out and said, "Follow." He walked around to the back of the house as if he owned the place and walked straight down the ridge and back towards the water. She really thought that he had a few screws loose as he walked in a lanky fashion, trying to maintain balance on that steep hill. As he got to the water, he looked out into the lake and pointed. "It's there, cloaked, my ship. You cannot see it, but it's on the water, of giant size, capable of transporting thousands of people. It's there. About 13 feet out on the water is where it's docked." She looked at him the same way a nurse would look at someone in a mental ward. He then told her that if she needed proof, she could see for herself. She wasn't going to get in that water, because if he was crazy, who knows, maybe it would drown her out there or something. But she was intrigued and wanted to discount his words for herself. So she picked up a handful of pebbles, smooth stones that were clustered near where the grass ended and the water began, took a look at Odie, smirked, and threw them out in the water as far as possible, expecting to hear the splash. The sound rang out, but not the one she expected. Clang, 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 splash. It was the sounds of rocks hitting metal and then falling into the water. The rocks hit something that was indeed invisible before landing. Odie looked at her and smiled. "Have your friends here on August 1st. We will leave at that time to visit my planet. I have important information for you all." Amelia, still in shock from the rocks hitting the object, stood in silence, eyes and mouth wide open, as she watched Odie walk back up the hill towards his truck to leave. He downloaded her bike and put it near the front door of her home and left. Later that day, Amelia gained her wits about her, and she noticed that she had a very large influx of new viewers and members on her website. She was up to 1,641 members. The good thing about her followers was that they would follow her blindly into anything, and they were not conspiracy theorists or non-believers, so she knew that if she said that she had proof of aliens, they would believe her. Over the next month, she construed a posting that she would deliver on July 15th to her followers, which stated the following. "Members and friends, what I'm about to say is going to come as a surprise. I summon you. We were told we would never amount to anything. We were told that we were useless. We are not. We are much more. Kings and queens among men. Invited for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to travel to another galaxy, to view another planet, to live in a new reality. I summon you all to my residence here in Savannah on August 1st. You will not regret it. Your fearless leader, Amelia Stewart." The posting received more likes than anything she had ever posted online, 1,450. Almost all of the members posted responses as well. Some of them avid believers, and some who just thought it would be a get-together to talk about aliens. But all of the members were interested, even if it was just to meet their fearless leader, Amelia. On the morning of August 1st, Amelia woke up at 6 a.m., went downstairs, and started to cook breakfast for her mother. She knew it might be the last time she would see her. Her mother woke up and rushed downstairs and out at 7 a.m., due to the fact that it was inventory week at Krager's. She at least got the chance to enjoy her daughter's waffles and bacon one last time, even though it was quickly. Amelia went upstairs and checked her email and then logged onto her website. Wow! 1,999 members, she thought. And with one click of the refresh button, 2,000. At 8 a.m., there was the first knock on the door. 20 people were in her front yard waiting as others were walking up at the same time. Then 10 more. Then 30 more. She was in awe at the number of people who made it to her home that morning. 740 in all. 300 out of 301 of her Georgia members, minus Randy Bittner. And 439 of the 1,699 remaining members from all over the world, which is a feat in itself. Some from France, some from Britain, Egypt, Singapore, and other parts of the world. She greeted them all, one by one, as they looked upon her as though she was a celebrity. It was a great feeling that she had never experienced. True leadership. She just hoped that she was making the right decision sending them off with her and Odie. As the big group made their way to the backyard, Odie was already back there in the water, about 5 feet out, knee deep in the lake, beckoning them to follow. The group looked at Amelia for assurance and she gave a light nod, and they proceeded, one by one, wide-eyed, right behind her. They all followed Odie up to what seemed to be an invisible ramp leading upwards into an airship. As they entered the ship, it became visible from the inside out. The long ramp was now leading downwards into the hull of the ship and then leveled off. This ship is huge, Amelia thought. The inside walls were a violet color with neon blue lights everywhere, accompanied by foreign dials. There were tall men and women working inside of the ship, not seeming to be paying much attention to the humans, but they definitely seemed engaged in some kind of mission. The temperature was about 60 degrees, overly cold inside, and everyone wished they had brought a light jacket, which only a few did. The people all huddled around Amelia as if to protect her from any danger, as Odie approached them. "Last chance to leave, friends," as he pointed to the door. No one left. There was a loud mechanical noise as the exit door sealed shut. He went on. "Friends, we are headed to Velair. Once there, I will introduce you to our culture and local people. We have a chip with every language, so when you reach our homeland, we will embed you with the language chip so you can communicate with our locals, as we do not speak English. I am using an English chip, and this is why the others are not engaging you. It is not like us to avoid meeting new people. We are a friendly species called the Volks, very similar to humans, but our brains are more developed. Our hands, feet, and torsos are elongated as opposed to yours, and there are no weapons on Velair because there are no wars. We are far more advanced than Earthlings. We were at your stage of evolvement 4,000 years ago. We developed time travel and space continuum travel many years ago as well. For example, your moon is just under 400,000 kilometers away from your Earth. When we approach the speed of light in our ship, which is called the Frivo 5B, by the way, we will make that distance in about 1 second. In about 8 minutes, we will be as far away as your sun is from the Earth. Without boring you with details, I will sum it up. In about 42 minutes, we will reach a black hole, warp through and jump into my galaxy, which is called Zen, and then travel 18 more minutes to Velair. We have 2 moons and 2 suns, though our planet has many similarities with yours. I will now direct your attention to this screen." He pointed to the left at a large wall where a 45-inch visual illuminated out of nowhere. There was a video of an asteroid in motion. This asteroid is headed towards your Earth. It's about the size of the state of Texas in diameter. When it hits your Earth in 2 weeks, all human life on Earth will cease to exist. Everyone gasped and looked at each other as he continued. The last time this happened was 65 million years ago, when the Chicxulub crater was created in Mexico from an asteroid hitting, which caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. This is because a heated rock hitting your Earth could kick up an insane amount of dust into the air and lower temperatures worldwide. You all were chosen because you are the good souls of Earth, or the most like us that we could find, and we are willing to allow your species to live on Valair. You will watch the destruction of your planet from Valair. Your astrologists will realize that an asteroid is on pace. Your astrologists and scientists will realize that the asteroid is on pace to cause imminent doom about 12 hours before it hits Earth, just off the coast of Africa. But it will be too late. They will also try not to alarm the public. Many important leaders will go underground into bunkers, but will be killed shortly after the impact. I am sorry to have to give you this news. And with that, he walked off and began speaking another language with his Volks. I have to do something, thought Amelia. But what? Mom. No. About a half hour later, the Frivo 5B was headed straight towards the black hole, and the size of the ship reduced to the size of a pea. Eventually it exited, returning to its normal size on the other side of the black hole, and many purple dots were displayed on a visual monitor. They were all labeled like we would label a map, only these were many different planets, too many to count, all which seemed to have water and gas. Amelia could tell where Valair was by checking the trajectory of the ship, which was displayed as well, and realized they would be nearing the planet in just under 20 minutes. Eventually the ship slowed down as they heard a large whoosh, and the ship reduced from light speed to about 50 miles per second. A large purple planet, which was about 70% water, was in pure view. They all watched in awe as the ship lowered into the Valair atmosphere. There were clouds, but they were more blue than Earth's. The dirt was a violet color, unlike the off-white brown like Earth. There were birds that looked like pterodactyls flying around, but what was strange was that the birds were acknowledging the ship with nods as they flew by, as if they were highly intelligent. There were many structures, all white, and the leaves of trees ranged in color from red to yellow. The color scheme of Valair was completely different than Earth's, but it was beautiful. As they landed, a large pillow of smoke rose from beneath the ship. Odie looked at Amelia. Beautiful, isn't it? One of these days I will teach you to fly the ship so you can explore. It's no more than a simple chip in bed. The large door opened and an older human approached the group, followed by two Volks. Welcome, friends, I am Martin. I was brought here years back and now work here full time with the Volks, developing new technology. Actually, many humans are here, 51,000 to be exact. And on Tremil, another neighboring planet, there are 50,000 there as well. Amelia remembered reading articles about large numbers of humans who went missing in the 2020s. Now things were starting to make sense. The Volks are a friendly sort and perfectly okay with coexisting with us as long as we only send our positive and peaceful humans who care about people. This is precisely why you were selected, and now you can live through the asteroid conflict that will hit Earth in 2 weeks. We knew about it back in 2020 and before, but we could not notify anyone. The Volk had come and abducted us to our benefit. They did not want the Earthlings to know of their impending doom because it would affect our lives. They should enjoy life up until the end as the dinosaurs did. Amelia was uncomfortable about the way humans and Volk spoke of the humans on Earth. It was a little unsettling. She was, however, so busy taking everything in, she got sidetracked easily. The food, for example, was amazing, even though everything was artificially made, almost as if a meal was a simulation. For example, when you sat down to eat, you put on a headpiece and a wristband, and then a menu came up on a screen in your vision, and you selected what you wanted to eat, and it generated a brain stimulation of eating whatever it was that you wanted, including taste, while administering vitamins and calories to your body. It was an amazing system. Amelia had the spaghetti, which was quite good. Games and hobbies were all done by simulation as well, with headsets and avatars to prevent injury and the group realized that this was a sort of heaven for them, where anything was possible. Also, everyone in Amelia's group received shots of some foreign substances which allowed them to never get sick again and increased their lifespans by 400 years. In addition, they were all given codes to food, fun, and excitement and received a home each and a rule book of the Valair. Rule 1. Love each other. Rule 2. Treat others better than yourself. Rule 3. Help people when they are in need. Rule 4. Never use weapons or harm anyone or species. Rule 5. Create, invent, and share ideas. Over the next week, Amelia learned all she could about the culture, even making a few new friends that were Volk, once she embedded their language chip. She also embedded chips of many different types of knowledge. Any talent that she could think of, she now knew how to do. From painting to skiing to swimming, underwater while breathing, nothing was too far-fetched. She was now using her brain in ways unimaginable before, and life was amazing. She learned how to communicate with animals and how to heal almost every ailment. And in this new system with no currency, everyone was the same class and no one was rich or poor, just happy. Some of Amelia's followers were reluctant to do the chip embeds at first, but eventually they came around and were happy that they did. No one spoke in English again after that. They took up the Volk native language. Everyone was happy besides missing their families back home. Amelia was happy as well, but a part of her wanted to do something for her poor mother. First she lost her husband and now me, and soon everything will be over for the earth. Then it hit her and she had an idea. She went to scientist Odie's office and told him that she wanted to use a ship to tour the galaxy. He told her that it would be fine as long as she obeyed the 5 rules of the Volk. She agreed, and a few minutes later he told her to get into a big gray chair. There was a computer close by with knobs and dials, and he connected sensors to her left and right temple. "This won't hurt a bit," he said. "There, all done. You know, Amelia, you should consider dating a Volk sometime." She had never looked at him in a sexual way before, but after seeing many of their species, he actually was a little attractive to her. She never had a real boyfriend before either, and was a little awkward at first, but smiled and told him to meet her that night and they would go out together. She retreated back to her room, blushing and smiling ear to ear at her newfound love blossoming. She thought about the two of them and the possibility of having a family one day, as she had seen several Volk with human husbands and wives since arriving a week ago. Her lust turned into sadness as she realized in 1 week that asteroid would end the life of many humans on Earth. That night, Odie met with Amelia and they walked around the scientist research facility's property as Odie explained to her of the many plans of the Volk and humans and how they were very much alike. Amelia had always longed for a place like this. No war, no one calling her useless, and nothing but love everywhere. "Why do you look so sad?" Odie said. "It's my mother. I want to help her out, but I can't," she said sadly. "That is true. There is nothing we can do for her, Amelia," he said. They still enjoyed the night, and at the end had a passionate kiss to end the evening, both in young love, unable to wait to see each other the next day. Over the next few days, they were connected at the hip. Wherever Odie went, Amelia would follow close by, a cute couple in blossoming love. She was happy and knew he was the man, or Volk, of her dreams. She asked Odie if there was any way of destroying an asteroid, and Odie told her no, because the Volk don't believe in weapons, and whatever must be, will be. Odie racked his brain trying to come up with a solution, but there was nothing he could do. Amelia had only one option. The next morning, Odie was fast asleep next to her as she spent the night with him the previous night in his research facility apartment on the 18th floor. She got up, went to the mirror, and looked at herself. This is it, Amelia. It's the end. She got dressed and left the apartment. As she walked towards the elevator, she wondered if she could really go through with this. She had to. She reached the ground level and went towards the shuttle bays. Workers were present and asked her what her business was, as she told them, exploration. They informed her that she needed to go with an escort and to hold tight while the two Volk walked off to get her a clearance and her escort. As they left her field of vision, she ran up the ramp into one of the Frivo 5B airships, which she now was an expert at operating thanks to Odie's chip embed. She ran up to the control panel, lifted the ramp, and engaged the takeoff process. Within seconds, she was ascending into the air, higher and higher. Within about a minute, she was a mile above the ground as the Volk were on the ground below, flailing their arms for her to come back. Just then, Odie awoke to all the sounds emanating from the ship. "What the heck?" "Amelia," he said. "No!" But Amelia was long gone, and as she approached the speed of light, she beelined towards the black hole jump back to the Milky Way. Odie decided that he had to follow her. He jumped into a Frivo 5C, more advanced, faster version of her ship, and started the airship. The Volk asked him how many reinforcements that he needed, and he said 0, and that he was going alone. He then took off to try to save his only love. How? Even he did not know. By the time Amelia exited the black hole into the Milky Way, she was calculating the coordinates to the asteroid that was 4 hours away from crashing into Africa. 4 hours seemed like a short distance, but considering how fast the object was traveling, it really was not. It was very, very far away. She decided that she would project her ship, traveling at the speed of light toward the asteroid, colliding with it and knocking it off track by less than half a degree. This would cause the much larger asteroid to veer off course and hopefully miss Earth. Once she plugged in the calculations, she was en route. A robotic voice over the loudspeaker came on. 2 minutes to impact. "Damn AI," she said as she continued toward the object. "Mom, this is for you." As the countdown got closer to 20 seconds, Amelia couldn't bear to watch the asteroid growing anymore on her monitor. It was huge now and right in front of her. She sat down on the floor and closed her eyes, listening to the countdown. 14, 13, 12. Swoosh! What was that? She said, startled, and sprung to her feet. She saw a much larger ship veer in front of her, and now it was also headed towards the object. A message came across the monitor in front of her. It read, "Amelia, you are so important to me, far from useless. I love you. Never forget me." She looked back up. 9, 8, 7, then heard the loudest crash she had ever heard in her life as Odie's ship collided with the asteroid as she narrowly missed it by veering off. "I can't believe he did that for me," she said as she stood in shock for some time and then turned the ship around, headed back to Valere. Her monitors indicated indeed that now the asteroid would narrowly miss Earth and humanity was safe, for now, thanks to her and Odie's efforts. When she returned to Valere, she explained to the locals, including Odie's mother, what had happened and why she chose to do what she did. They understood and regarded the two of them as heroes for putting their lives on the line. She went to her group and told them that she wanted to go home to her mom. "All of the riches in the world would not be more important than love, the memory of my father, and now Odie," she said. She needed her mom. Needed to smell her pancakes and bacon in the morning. Real bacon, not simulated. And that's exactly what she did. She went home and brought a few hundred of her free spirits as well with her, though many stayed in the land of temptation. The returning members agreed to never tell of what happened. They returned home August 17th and quickly got back to their lives. Amelia decided to close down the website and even went back to working at the gym. Within a few short months, she was assistant manager. She spent every morning from then forward with her mom, and after work went out back to skip pebbles on the water and dream. She had found true happiness and never forgot about Odie, her lanky hero and love. Oh yeah, and she saved the world. I guess she was not so useless after all.